Well, hello, consciousness creators, Toolbox fans. Welcome to Thursday night, July 27th, 2023. My name is Larry Blomberg, and I thank Jean Aaron for inviting me to come and ramble on tonight for you here. So tonight was inspired when I wrote something or said something to Jean, which is a quote from a friend of mine, a mentor, a teacher, one of the world's leading thought leaders by the name of Panache Desai. And this was on a talk or DVD, something that he did years ago, going back probably 10 years ago, 13 years ago. I was first introduced and met Panache in 2009, and what he said was, you know, on the day that you were born, do you think that God was having a bad day? And so we came up with between Jean and myself, we came up with whatever it is that I posted as a title to this, the divine beyond words. You know, we are a band beyond description, like Jehovah's favorite choir. Perfect just as you are. We are perfect just as we are. And this is a hard concept for us to get because basically, to use mine or other people's words, we've been hoodwinked, brainwashed, and bamboozled into thinking that we need something outside of ourselves. Okay? And so there's nothing that we need. We have everything. We have everything. We are divinely connected to Source. We are intimately connected to that Source, whether we call it God, whether we call it divine. I'm comfortable with God. I don't mind it. I know a lot of people are disappointed in God, but I think you've confused God with religion. God does not discriminate. God shines upon us regardless of what it is that we do or have done. I once approached my friend Panache at a seminar, and I said that I was full of regret and remorse, and he simply looked at me and said something to the effect of, as if whatever we did wasn't meant to be done. And so the only way out of a situation is to go through that situation. Okay, it's not to add more stuff to it, go out and, you know, going out to the movies is fun, but if you're going to the movies, yeah, maybe you need a distraction. I'm not really arguing like that kind of thing, but if you think that movie is going to save you, then you're sadly mistaken. If you're a single person and you think that that other person is going to complete you, save that for the poetry and save that for the movies. As far as relationships go, we often think that it's a 50-50 deal. It's not. It's 100%, 100%. Okay, it is quantum mathematics, quantum physics, whatever. It doesn't make sense. We can't go. It's like telling us a coach telling an athlete to give it 110%. Well, maybe we can. I don't know. You know, it's all a human construct anyway. But this idea that we need to look outside of ourselves and pull something else into us in order to be full and satisfied is a mistake. That's not a sin. Interestingly, the Aramaic version or the Aramaic translation of sin is a mistake. right? New Thought people, New Age people, they've kind of look at it that way, all right? And so we've taken something and energized it to a point of feeling bad about something. And every single experience is there for us. Every single experience is there for us to experience. And we often think that meditation, the study of metaphysics, the study of spirituality, the study of ancient wisdoms is... sorry, I just got distracted. Don't ever look down and see how many people are viewing. It just messes things up. I'm just talking to whoever's going to stroll by here in the next day or two, so it matters not. So we live in a society where, again, we've been hoodwinked, brainwashed, and bamboozled. Now, I'm a fan of brainwashing, to be honest with you, because I'm a hypnotherapist. But there's the right type of brainwashing, right? I mean, I literally look at, let's cleanse the soul. Let's dig deep into the subconscious mind and empty it. Allow ourselves to be a space. I just told a friend who was just telling me a story about how he's dealing with certain things and just kind of laughing at everything and just allowing people to be the way they are instead of being upset and angry with the person and trying to correct it. It's just like, well, you did this. How'd that happen? Oh, I don't know. That just, and he goes, I'm learning how to be Dalai Lama. I said, I started saying this to people last spring because I got to that point too where I was just kind of smiling and laughing at all the situations that were going on. And it just felt like the way the Dalai Lama might approach things. He's just the most giggly guy. If you have not seen a conversation between Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu, look that one up. I can't remember what the name of it is. I think it's on Netflix, but just look it up. There's this really great conversation with the Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu, who are incredible, energetic and thought leaders. But again, to get back to this idea of brainwashing, that's the commercial aspects of society. If I'm old enough to remember, when we had the term housewife, and the housewife would sit around and they put televisions and radios in there and they started selling them soap. And they tried to make people feel bad because their house wasn't the cleanest and most spotless one in the neighborhood. And so that evolved. My hypnotic mentor said, you think that McDonald's is marketing to you? No, they're marketing to the womb. I mean, they're going down with the kids' meals, the Happy Meals, blah, 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 and they're looking to get you to consume something, to fill you up. And what I'm suggesting, what I've found that works best for me, is to completely empty myself so that I'm a space for things to happen. So that I'm truly that vessel, And through meditation, I've just allowed myself that time to just be still and to just focus on my breathing. Okay, there's really nothing to meditation. This is also something that society, that for better or worse, people were just unconscious. Even the best of people going about teaching things, and it's like, oh, you've got to do it this way, and oh, you got to do it that way. And I came up with a term that, speaking of commercialism and commercials and jingles, that when I was teaching it, it was called the Outback Steakhouse brand of meditation. A while back, they had a saying that was no rules, just right. So it's the divine art of chilling out. Yes, there's some things that can help you stay there, and there's some music and videos and other things, and I use all of them. But the best is when I can just kind of take a moment, and it only takes a moment. It only takes a moment to connect with the source. It only takes a moment to connect with the divine. Okay? Miracles can happen in a moment. Now, sometimes there's habits that we need to change. There's things that we need to work on because we built up and you know, like for now, for me, I'm working more and more on my health and my diet. You know, because for years, you know, I was just all about filling the mind and the soul, and I wasn't eating poorly, but I wasn't eating great. So I guess the main point that I want to make tonight is do not shy away from any emotional experience or feeling that you have. Our feelings are our vibrations, are a way of us kind of, you know, we live in a real world, so we end up judging it a little bit, and there's certain feelings, but we can't go, I don't like that feeling, and stuff it back down. So many people have the saying, my wife in particular, would always say better out than in. And so what I've noticed about myself in the last few months is there's periods where I'm crying every day. And I don't share that a lot with people because people are like, oh, I'm sorry. No, you don't get it. It's an absolute cleanse. It feels good to move through that. And the more that I allow myself to experience it, the faster I move through it and the faster the breakthroughs occur. So, again, oh, I misspelling there. Can I edit that? On the day that you were born, do you think that God was having a bad day? Oh, if I can edit that, I will, but I apologize for that. No. The answer is no. It's the very concept of God, the creator, the divine, the openness, the endless possibility of a universe bursting forth out of an idea. And it is a mystery. I ain't going to try to say that I understand it or know it or anything like that, but we need mystery. We need mystery. You want to read a great book, read a book by Rocco Errico, Dr. Rocco Errico, who for me is a local person living in Georgia, who was my Bible teacher when I was in ministerial school, and he wrote a book called The Mysteries of Creation, speaking about how this is an allegorical relating of an idea of creation. So when stuff happens, just go, this is where the meditation comes in. If you practice, and it's called practice, I love that one style, a particular style, I think that well, so many of them, the Hindu style and I think the Buddhist style, they call it practice. Because you want to be in the process. It isn't about a destination. The destination is here and now. Period. Be here now, Ram Dass, right? So many people have said that. So many people have come to know that, but then go out chasing the next best thing. And again, look, we live in a world, we're here to experience the world. So many of us want to ascend and go beyond it, but the metaphor for ascension is that we have this ability to rise above situations and look down at them without emotional and energetic ties to it. And in order to ascend, if you take it into the Bible story with Jesus, is you've got to be willing to resurrect. You've got to be willing to make a comeback. In order to resurrect, you have to take some time. You have to go into the cave. You have to be willing to be crucified. You have to be willing to experience those things. Rocco Errico, in speaking about that moment where Jesus says, there's just forgetting the words right now, where he's just on the cross and he's just all of a sudden says, "Oh, now I get it." It's just about surrendering. The courage that it took for that man. Okay, and there is data, right? There is records, historical records, that crucifixions occurred and that they did crucify this one particular gentleman who was out there being a rebel and teaching people that they could go within. They didn't need to go through those people that were continuing or started the hoodwinking, bamboozling, and brainwashing. Okay, and he said, you can just go to the source. You can go to the mountain. I know these talks go, the toolbox is set to be for an hour, but I'm also want to be courteous to people who are just stopping by and kind of keep this short and sweet. And I'll leave you with a poem that I wrote in my 20s, my early 20s. That goes back a few decades, folks. After I did a course about transformation, and what I realized was, and those words have stuck with me for all these decades, and it was about the metaphor of the mountain. And it said, I wrote, I have been to the mountain and there is nothing there. All things exist in that space that you create, in that space that I create. So take your time to just focus on your breath, and that practice of focusing on your breath, eyes closed, eyes open. You want to get into some, posture, fine. If that's what you want to do. If you want to just lay down, fine. Okay? There are times when those things are beneficial, but for the most part, it's just about taking a moment and focusing on your breath so that you can turn your life into a living and breathing meditation. So that when you're going through stuff, you can be conscious of what's going on in your body. You can understand the tightness. You can feel the energy. And then you can just breathe through that uncomfortableness. Okay? Nobody really enjoys that uncomfortableness, but that's where growth occurs, if we're going to put it in human terms. Okay? That's where expansion occurs. Okay? When we can just be with it. Instead of tightening it and condensing it, we just let it out. We let it flow. And you'll begin to see how you move through events quicker and quicker. How insights come to you faster and faster. And even though I am a believer that there is nothing in you that needs to be fixed, healed, or changed, that you are perfect as you are right now, we do get out of balance. We do get out of whack. And even though I may say that you've been hoodwinked, brainwashed, and bamboozled, you or I, to put it in my terms, we are the ones that absorb that and allow that to come in. So we are the ones that can allow that to flow through us without putting blame on the other folks, because they've been brainwashed, hoodwinked, and bamboozled as well. Right? So go with joy. Peace be with you. Namaste. I love you more than words can tell.